This is a video for people who occasionally post things to Facebook like, do you know what this is? And do you know what the connection is with this? Well, this is an audio cassette, and the connection is that back in the olden days, you wanted to play this side of the tape. All that tape that you can see on this side would slowly roll up on a reel over here and end up over there. And then you would turn it over and play it back to play the other side. Well, if you were sitting here at the start of side A and you wanted to play something that was at the start of side B, you had two choices. One, stick it in your tape recorder and engage what was called rewind, or fast forward if you had it on this way around. Or you could wind it yourself with a pencil. What you did is you stuck this in here and you turned it. And the hexagonal cross-section of the pencil would engage the little teeth that are in these reels, and you could turn the tape. Now, what I've discovered in preparing this video for you this evening is that those rascals that make pencils have slipped one over on us in the last 40 years. They've made pencils smaller in diameter, so they no longer engage the tape. So much for the good old days. Fortunately, I've found that some, not all, but some pens are just big enough around and just compressible enough to jam in there just right and turn the tape. You can see the reel turning as the tape pulls it from the reel that's loose to the reel that I'm turning. Now, you could sit there and that would take quite a while, as you can imagine. You can't see anything changing at all at that speed. So what I used to do as a kid was I figured out, well, okay, turning the reel this way is the same thing as turning the cassette that way. So why not just do this? And sure enough, that's a lot faster. Indeed, you can start to see some tape accumulating on that reel as I do that. And so you sit here and you do this for a while, and eventually you get to the end of side A and you can play side B. So in this particular case, I'm winding the tape from side A, where there appears a recording of me playing the trumpet as an 8-year-old in 4th grade in 1971. Yeah. Onto side B, where my father at the dinner table or after dinner one night acted out an old radio play in the style that he used to listen to in his childhood before the invention of television. And, old westerns were a big thing in those days, and so he made one up, Tonto and the Lone Stranger. Not the Lone Ranger, but the Lone Stranger. This is my father's comedy version of the whole thing, and one of these days I'll post that recording somewhere for people to listen to. Anyway, as to this cassette business, you can see I've made a bit of progress here. I'm going to set that aside because I'd like to wind up, but let me just point out that even if I do manage to dub some portions of this tape, I have a few others lying around as well. So I've got a job ahead of me to go through those tapes and figure out what I can't get from someplace else more easily. And we'll have to try and dub from this cassette. This one, for example, is the Carpenters plus a few classic novelty songs of the 80s, in particular Fish Heads by Barnes and Barnes. At the end there, just above my thumb. Oh, I guess it's just the only novelty song on that tape. Now let's grab one more and see what's there. Oh, this is some other 80s songs. It Would Take a Strong, Strong Man by Rick Astley, Heart and Soul by Tapao, Break Out by Swing Out Sister, and so on and so forth. My tapes are all very eclectic, but that's a story for another time. I can deal with the first 35 of them pretty easily because when I was a kid recording these things, I actually wrote down what was on various ones, and over the years I've put some additional notations on here as to which ones I didn't really need to preserve, or so on and so forth. But there's some stuff here that you would like totally have ever forgotten ever existed. Like, look at this one. I originally thought it was I Got a Brand New Pair of Roller Skates, but it's really called Brand New Key. No idea who recorded it, but that's the one that goes, I got a brand new pair of roller skates, you got a brand new key. And if you're old enough to remember that one, you'll appreciate how long it's been since you actually heard it. But if I wanted to play side B of the tape that I've actually been rewinding by hand here, that is one of the things that would come up. So anyway, that's the fun of having 200 old cassettes dating back into the 1970s. Maybe you'll hear some of these things from me sometime soon.